My name is Robert Cormell. I can't even draw a straight line. So my friend Frank is going to take over for me because he's pretty much awesome. But yeah, so let me start over. My name is Robert Cormell, and I was born with 11 toes. My mom, being the practical woman that she was, and not wanting to buy extra wide socks and extra wide shoes for me for the rest of my life, decided to have my extra toe cut off. Ouch! I've had dreams about my forsaken toe. You know, wondering what life would have been like with an extra digit. Could have been cool. Just kidding. I've never dreamed about my toe. And so begins my not so normal life. I was the youngest of 6 children, which means I had 5 bosses, 7 if you include my mom and dad. I was taking orders before I was even out of diapers. In school, I wasn't what you would call the teacher's pet, although the principal and I were on a first name basis. But that was probably because I spent a tremendous amount of time in his office, where I was getting very acquainted with his paddle. Yeah, students could still get swats in school back then. Speaking of school, I had a crush on this girl in the 1st grade. I thought she liked me, so I made my move. I put the biggest booger I could dig out of my nose on her school book. She was not impressed. In fact, she screamed. And that was the beginning of the end of my first crush. I had my first job at 12 years old selling newspapers around town, which means I had my first job before I stopped sucking my thumb, because that didn't come until I was 13. There's nothing like a trip to camp with a bunch of guys to embarrass you out of a bad habit. I graduated when I was 16 years old. I was the valedictorian of my class. I don't think that it should matter that I was homeschooled during high school and that I was the only one in my class. My mom thought I did a great job. I started my first business right after I graduated, loading hay out in Blythe, California. I could make $500 a day loading hay. If you've never been to Blythe, it's crazy hot in the summer. So in between loading hay trucks, I would jump into the canals to cool off. You can do that in small towns. At 20 years old, I started playing baseball in New Mexico State. And during the off season, I waited tables at Golden Corral and realized this was a great way to meet girls. I mean people. I was made manager in no time at all, and then they moved me to El Paso. Speaking of girls, on my quest to meet new people, I decided to go to church, where I saw this girl. She was, wow, you know, like, whoa. And it was love at first sight. Well, for me anyways. I decided not to go the booger route this time, so I asked her out. She was busy, so I asked her out again. She was still busy. I asked her out again, and she said yes. And 9 months later, she said I do, and I changed her name forever. A few years later, we opened a restaurant called What's for Dinner with a partner. We were crazy like that. We made everything from scratch. Bread, desserts, entrees, everything. It was awesome. We were located across the street from Hanks High School, and after school, there were a lot of students hanging around with nowhere to go and nothing to do. So I became friends with a lot of them. My wife and I saw a need for a safe place for teens, a place where students could hang out and not have to buy anything. They could work on their homework or play a game of pool or get a snack. And in 1998, we turned our little restaurant into Wayside Teen Center. Around that same time, we took over our first bagel shop. We built the business up, and now we have 3 locations across town. It was exhausting at times, but my wife and I are used to working hard. In 2008, we started a mentoring program for at-risk kids called Mentor One. 99% of these kids do not have fathers in their home. And now, kids all over our city, as young as 6 years old, have a mentor to hang out with, someone to walk through life with. They love their mentors. And now, I'm running for mayor. Well, not really running from you or anything. Actually, I'm skating from house to house. No, really, I am. I saw needs in our community. People weren't being listened to or respected by our city government. And this concerns me, so I needed to do something about it. How could I not? I see a need and I respond to it. It's my nature. I'm a problem solver. If we don't like the way things are, we can change it. But I can't do this by myself. We need everyone to do their part. So this was the story of my life. I'm Robert Cormell, and I'd be honored to be your next mayor. So vote for me May 11th. See you around.